got a large crowd. I'm sure the family is very appreciative of that. We'll pause between the traffic just to make sure everybody can hear us. I'm going to recognize, of course, Mr. Ron Cowan. He's one of our county commissioners here in Smith County, and I'll recognize the rest of you in just a few minutes. But I want to ask Ron if he will to come forward and just lead us in a word of prayer, if he would, please.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day and this privilege to come and honor this Mr. Gross and the family that has come out to represent him. Lord, be with each one of them and help us, Lord, be a better person for you. And Lord, watch over us and protect us, Lord, and be with us throughout this day and help us as we travel back to our homes. Watch over us now, for we ask these things in Jesus' name.
Sorry, Ron. I looked up just a little bit while you were praying because I didn't want to get run over. I wasn't being faithful enough, I suppose. I'm sorry. But I do want to recognize Mr. Frank Woodard. He's one of our county commissioners here in this district and in Smith County also, and Mr. David Gross, which is a great-grandson to Mr. Eddie Dale Gross. And David's a commissioner in this district, and also Mr. Larry Edelman. He's the newest county commissioner. He was sworn in September. Is that right, Mr. Larry? And I think we finally got his picture in the paper this week, maybe. So we are thankful for our commissioners, and it is a process to go to get to this day as far as having a bridge dedicated in honor or memory of someone. And I kind of wanted to share that with you. Of course, the county does not name roads or bridges if it's a state road. And we would if it was a county road. But on a state road, we actually send a resolution to the state legislature. In this situation, it was Ms. Terry Lynn Weaver as our representative and Senator May Beavers as our senator at the time. And we sent this. This was passed in March of 2017. And David shared with me a lot of information about his great-grandfather. There was a poem that he wrote. I've read that. There was some things. I've told a story about Mr. Groves. Didn't know him, but I've told that story after reading this and some of the information he gave me. He was an amazing person, and even shared it with my son last night and a few friends that I had yesterday I spoke to. But some of the things he did, you just don't hear a lot about people doing that anymore. And we will have somebody from the family here in a moment just to speak, but I'm going to read this resolution. And a lot of times we get in such a big hurry with our lives and everything, we think we don't have time to read resolutions. We've got this whole day as long as God allows us to live long enough to have it. But I would like to read this at the time because it'll tell us a lot about Mr. Groves, and not everything, just like it says in this. This is a resolution that was numbered 03-2017-06. It was the sixth resolution we passed on the night of March 13th of 2017. This is an act to support naming a bridge located on State Route 53 north, 1/10 of a mile before the Jackson and Smith County line, in honor of Dr. Eddie Dale Gross. Whereas from time to time, the members of this legislative body have seen fit to support naming certain bridges to honor those citizens of this county who have served their community for the betterment of the citizens. And whereas Dr. Eddie Dale Gross was born November 1st, 1878 to parents Russell Gross and Matilda Cowan Gross. He was the oldest of three children, with a brother John and a sister Sadie. He grew up in the Chestnut Mound area, and as a young boy, he worked with his father and uncle as tenant farmers on what would become their farm. When I read that again this morning, I thought, I'm sure that was their goal, that when they started tenant farming, that would be their farm someday. And not everybody got to fulfill that, but they did, and I thought that's an amazing thing. When Eddie was older, he clerked at a store in Chestnut Mound and became convinced that he wanted something more than farming. In 1902, and any farmers that might be listening, there's nothing wrong with being a farmer, but he wanted a little bit more. But in 1902, he was hired by Smith County to teach school in the 10th District of Smith County at School Number 3, which would be in Club Springs, for the sum of $30 per month. In the same year, Eddie decided to start studying to become a doctor. He studied while teaching, and then in 1905, he graduated from the University of Nashville as a medical doctor. And whereas after graduating, he helped put his brother John through school when John graduated as a doctor in 1908. And that's something, too, that touched me just reading that, was that he cared enough about his family, cared enough about his brother, that he would help him achieve his goal in an education also. Whereas during this time, he was tending to the needs of patients in and around Chestnut Mound and into Jackson County and Putnam County, making house calls at all hours of the day and night, and taking every sort of item and payment, and even when people had no money but needed medical help. And I think we can probably think about that. There was probably chicken and eggs and just different things he took for payment. And I thought that's, what a blessing that was to know that the simple times during that time. Whereas even this, however, was not the total sum of a man. He wrote poetry and plays, short stories and essays. And in 1904, his essay in the valedictory contest at the University of Nashville was entitled Essentials of a Good Character, in which Dr. Gross outlined courage, energy, patience, honesty, charity, kindness, and love as being the 7 attributes of a good character. And whereas Dr. Gross was not only a country doctor, but was also involved in the medical profession as a member and later president of the Upper Cumberland Medical Society, he corresponded extensively with other doctors and wrote for medical journals. Whereas in remembrance of his service to Smith County, we feel a need to name a bridge located on State Route 53, 1/10 of a mile before the Jackson-Smith County line, in honor and memory of Dr. Eddie Dale Gross. Be it approved and adopted by the legislative body of Smith County, Tennessee, that they would support this naming of this bridge hereinafter known as Dr. Eddie Dale Gross Memorial Bridge, adopted March the 13th of 2017. Terry Lynn, I'm going to turn the mic over to you just a minute, and I want to thank the family for allowing me to do this today. It's a pleasure and an honor to do these things, and this is a great part of the job that we do. So, Terry Lynn, here you go.
Lord, make the ladybugs go away for just a minute. As the mayor had mentioned, this is the amazing part of what I get to do as representing District 40, and that is to recognize the wonderful feats and achievements that people in our district, in our area here, have accomplished. And as the mayor read, this man was not only writing poetry and books about character, essential qualities to have a good character, but he was an entrepreneur, and he went to school and took care of his family. And so amazing qualities that one has, and certainly befits us to be here today to recognize this amazing person, and hope that we will continue his legacy of being good citizens and good neighbors, and doing the best we can to make our world a better place to live and work. Added to how a bill how it comes from the local government to the state, then that piece of language is sent to the state, and we vote on that piece of language in the state. And this was approved, obviously, unanimously voted on. It is in our records as a piece of legislation, which is awesome as well. I have copies for the family members as well. And so to add to his part, basically the only difference is that we're here on the bottom. It says, whereas this public chapter, the General Assembly named the bridge spanning Dillard Creek on State Route 53, Granville Highway in Smith County, near the boundary with Jackson County, the Dr. Eddie Dale Gross Memorial Bridge on this special occasion. Beth Harwell is the Speaker of the House of the 110th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee. At the request of and conjunction with Representative Terry Lynn Weaver, we hereby proclaim that we honor. That's why we're here today. We're here to honor and take time out of our busy schedule to recognize who this individual was and what he brought to the table, and we're going to name this bridge after him. So we hereby proclaim that we honor the memory of Dr. Eddie Dale Gross on the occasion of the dedication of the Eddie Dale Gross Memorial Bridge, proclaimed in Nashville, Tennessee on the 27th day of October 2017. It is signed by Speaker of the House Beth Harwell and myself, Representative Terry Lynn Weaver. This is for the county, for you to take, Mr. Mayor. I have copies for every family member. If you want more copies, I will give you my information, and I know Grace isn't here, my assistant, but I really applaud her for making agreements with the family to find a day where we all can get here and do this on a wonderful, beautiful, full of ladybugs day. Also, my husband Mike, if you will also, we have 2 signs for the family members only that come free of charge. And no, those are not free of charge, actually. I think those were given to you through my office. But anyway, there's your sign, Eddie Dielgros. Those are for you to take. And these go to the family members as well. So I guess that's it. Do you have something to add?
Other than I would say that Grace in Terry Lynn's office does a wonderful job trying to coordinate this, so I do appreciate Grace too. She's like the people that work in my office.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're the people that do the work.
Behind the scenes, definitely. And of course, she lives in Clarksville, so she wasn't able to be here, but she's a great help. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Terry Lynn. Mr. Jerry, if you would, I'd like to, it's always good to have a member of the family to speak because they can recognize members of the family. If I start naming, I do know some of the people that have been introduced to me today, some of the people I already knew, but Jerry, you'll know, and I understand you're a long speaker. Is that correct?
I try to keep it short. All right. I try to keep it short. I love my grandfather very much. Still missing him. When you went in the room where he was at, he was either reading the Bible or a medical book. He was a humble man. He didn't ask for much. He liked his hog jaw in the morning for breakfast. Didn't want no bacon. But he was the best man I've ever known. And that's not bragging about him, he was. I've known preachers. Good man, but I've never known one that was as pure a soul as he was. He loved his family. He saw to them as long as he could. He loved the people. He was a doctor for everyone. Didn't matter whether you were rich, poor, black, white, whatever. If you were sick, he would come. Didn't make him a little mad when he went behind his drugs. And he had to walk across the footbridge or something, and then 7 8 years old trying to get to him. But that did kind of make him mad. But other than that, you never saw him mad. He never raised his voice to me as a kid. But when he said something, you listen. Everybody respected him. He did not want to be called Doc because he had worked hard all his life to get a doctor's degree. So anybody that has a degree and a title, they've worked to earn it. So don't call them a doc. They're a doctor. They worked hard. His family, then his kids, and everyone else. He could have gone the other way when he was young. He lost his mom and dad. He had a family that raised him, and he loved them like they were his mom and dad. But he did do a lot of writing. He did a lot of other things. Patients that needed a phone in the house, he saw to it they'd have a phone in the house. He was instrumental in getting a phone up here at Chester Mound. He was in the building right up here at the top of the hill where you come out of Granville on the left, right behind where the store is. This 4 Avenue. You see us all the old movies where you plug it in and stuff. You pick up a phone, Miss Cora, I need Mama. She called Mama at Western Auto. But 24/7, she worked 24/7, 365 days a year. So that's the kind of people they were back then. But he did go out of his way to help everyone. So if you didn't have the money, he'd do it anyway. And like he said, a lot of it, he got paid with chickens and stuff like that, because I got so tired of eating chicken and when the preacher come, I didn't like the preacher because he ate my liver and my gizzard. But we'd have 2 chickens that day, and he came. But that's the way it was with him. He was just a humble man. That's all you can say about him. If everybody would live and try to live, be just close to as good as man as he was, we'd all go to heaven. Because he doctored. He was an intelligent man. He knew the things he did. I can tell you a million different things. But just simple things back then. Doctors then had to touch, feel, and use their head a little bit more than they do now. He had a thing of paper pen up in there, and he was president of it. They had a big 2 teachers. One of them was close. They were close. You couldn't tell by the temper what to give the patient. You had to give a real strong medicine for one, and you give something mild for the other. The medicine was dangerous to take to start with. And he went in there and told me, he said, if the fever is not above 101, bring it to the left. He goes over 101, bring it to the right. And then doctors in the hospitals and stuff, they like, check the record. He's an intelligent man. The hay baler, I saw the hay baler. It was tie bale. It was white. It ran off a truck wheel load. Jacked up truck wheel, you had to throw the belt on it. You had to fork the hay over in it, but it would bale it when you put it in. But that's all I've got, but I did love him greatly. I miss him.
I appreciate that insight from Mr. Jerry. And of course, I used to, when you talk about your grandfather, of course, if you have your grandparents, you're very fortunate. Growing up, my grandparents, the time I was 2 or 3 years old, all my grandparents had passed away. So when I grew up, I didn't have grandparents. So if you have grandparents, that's something to be thankful for. And I now have a grandson. I hope some of these days that he can say he enjoyed being around me, just like you said you've been around your grandfather. So we're going to, anybody else from the family want to say anything? I think Charles is just biting at the bits to say something. I do want to say a special thank you to Charles. He actually is the one who put that proclamation together from information the family gave and put that together. I gave him some samples, and you did a good job with that. So made my work a lot easier, and I thank you for that. David, I appreciate you, one of our commissioners, and bringing this to our attention. Okay? But we are going to unveil the sign, and of course, with all the traffic here, I don't know that everybody needs to cross the road. If y'all just stay put, and maybe I get somebody to come help hold the ladder. I've cut everything on it except that one piece in the middle, and I'll get that when we get over there. If you'll help me, David.
You're fine.